So as you can recall, when you are completing the square, let's suppose you're given a quadratic, y equals to x squared plus 6x minus 4, and you want to complete the square. So the question says solve for x by completing the square. Remember that when you're solving for x, you're finding the roots. And what are roots? Roots are the x values, right? The x values that are found whenever you have, in this case, a parabola. All right, so the roots are where the graph will cut the x-axis. Solve for x by completing the square. So if I have some kind of graph, let's say this is my y-axis and this is my x-axis, this is a smiley face graph. Somewhere along the x-axis it will cut 2 points over there, and we call those 2 points roots. Now we want to find those roots, those x values, where this graph, which is a smiley face, because this value is positive, it's a smiley face. If that value is negative, then it becomes a sad face, right? So it's a smiley face, all right, concave up parabola. So we're going to solve for x by completing the square. When we solve for x, what we must remember is that on this line, y is equal to 0. So technically, we're actually just making y equal to 0 and then completing the square after that. So we're going to make y equal to 0, and we now have this expression over here. Now, let's take the plus 6 and divide it by 2, which is the first step. Take the b value, divide it by 2, and then square it. Remember, a is equal to 1, b is equal to 6, and c is equal to negative 4. So b divided by 2 squared is going to be 6 divided by 2 squared, which is equal to 3 squared, which is going to be 9. All right, 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 squared is going to be 9. Now what you have to do is take that value, the value 9, and add it first, then subtract it in between those two terms over there. All right, so we're going to separate these two terms. We're going to take this, move it this way, take this and move it that way, and we're going to end up with the following. So we get enough of x squared plus 6x plus 9 first. All right, so first going to plus 9, and then after that minus 9 minus 4. And you can see we technically just added 0 in there, nothing else. Now that we have that, we're going to group the first 3 terms on the left hand side. And when I group these 3 terms on the left hand side, it will factorize into a binomial squared, a perfect square bracket in terms of, if I got x plus 3 multiplied by x plus 3, just to show you quick, x times x is x squared, x times 3 would be 3x, 3 times x will be 3x, and 3 times 3 will be 9. So this will become x squared plus 6x plus 9. And that is the same as that. So what we've done is we factorized it. Okay? This is just a quick check. We don't really need that part of the calculation. Step 1, take d over 2 and square it. Step 2, we then add and subtract the 9. And step 3, we factorize the first 3 terms into a bracket squared, a plus x squared. And now once we have this, we can simplify this side to get minus 9 minus 4, which is minus 13. Now we are going to do the solving for x part over here. We have been solving for x along the way, but now we're ready to isolate x. By moving 13 across, I will get 13 equal to x plus 3 squared. And sometimes these questions say, leave your answer in third form. Leave your answer in third form. What that means is that you have to leave your answer with the square root. Okay. This will be square root 13 equals to, and this is plus minus. Whenever you square root, don't forget you always put a plus minus. X plus 3, the square cancels with the root. Now moving the plus 3 over to the left hand side becomes minus 3. So plus minus the square root of 13 minus 3 equals to x. And I have 2 solutions for x, so I can see x is going to be equal to, I'm just going to move the minus 3 in front. So it's just like this, minus 3 plus root 13 in third form. So we leave the root, we're not going to put it into a calculator. If we do put it into a calculator, we can round it to 3 significant figures. Sometimes it'll state that, round to 3 significant figures. So x equals to negative 3 minus root 13, which is my second answer for x over there. All right. The last part, solving for x. You can call it step 4, or you can just remember it. So step 1, remember, is going to be take b over 2, square it. Step 2, you're going to plus minus whatever you get from there. Step 3, you're going to group the first 3 terms, and you're going to factorize. All right, the first 3 terms, you're going to factorize it. It's going to end up as some bracket plus x squared. All right, now once you have that, you should be done, and you can then solve for this. Okay. So I want you to try this now. So you're going to try the following. You're going to solve for x by completing the square using those steps. Write those steps down, grab a blank piece of paper, solve for x by completing the square, and leave your answer in third form. Okay, you're going to leave your answer in third form, step by step, given that y is equal to x squared plus 8x minus 8x minus 6. All right, give it a go. Let's see what you got. All right, so that's basically the idea, is that just to review, quick heads up. So the first 3 terms, step 3 here, we take b divided by 2, or b value is 8, remember, and we then square it, add and subtract it in between there. That'll become 3 terms. We factorize that. That'll become a number over here. That's a number, just a normal number. And then that will factorize into a bracket squared, put another number next to it, everything equal to 0 as well. And then we solve, we do the solving part from there. All right, so that will go down there, and it can do whatever it is. All right, just put up guidelines. Once you're done, then continue. All right, let's go through this now, step by step. So the first thing we got here is we solving for x, and remember, when we have some kind of x-axis, the roots are always where y is equal to 0. So I can make y equal to 0 and just rewrite the expression like that. Now we want to find x. This expression cannot be factorized. If it can be factorized, we can also solve it, but it specifically wants us to solve for x by completing the square. So we're going to go ahead and start with step 1, identify the b value, which is that value, divided by 2, and square it. So we're going to end up with 8 divided by 2 and squared. Will become 4, and 4 squared will equal 16. So we end up with 0 equals x squared plus 8x plus 16 minus 16 minus 6. And from here, what we got is step 2 done, right? Because we plus and minus it, just like we expected it, and plus minus 16. So this means 16 and 16. Now we're going to group these first 3 terms over here. We're going to group those first 3 terms over here. And we're going to factorize that to become x plus 4 squared. And minus 16 minus 6 is minus 22. Alright, so we factorized it now, and we're done with step 3. Step 4, we're all ready to solve for x. So we're going to take negative 22, move it across, and become positive 22, and then x plus 4 squared remains on this side. Then square root, add a plus and minus, square root the right hand side, that cancels out, getting me plus minus the square root of 22 equals x plus 4. So therefore, once I move 4 over, it will become minus 4 plus the square root of 22, or x will equal minus 4 minus square root of 22. And it specifically says leave your answer in third form, right? So I didn't say answer there, leave your answer in third form. So that means we're done. We would stop there. Sometimes you would end up with a number that can maybe simplify further, like 20. That's the same as 4 times 5, which is the same as 2 root 5. And in this case, this is simplified third form. Alright, this is simplified third form. Hypothetically, if this was root 20, then we would use simplified third form to get that. Alright. Now, sometimes it's given with an a value. The a value is not 1. So what's the a value? Remember, a is in front of x squared. So when this a value over here is not 1, then we have something else to do before we can solve for x, right? So we're going to solve for x again by completing the square, and we're given that y equals to 2x squared plus 4x minus 8, let's say. We have to remove that 2 first before we can complete the square with these particular steps. So what I'm going to do here is we're solving for x. I'm going to make y equal to 0, and I'm going to divide everything by 2. I'm going to put a half in front and divide everything by 2 over here, which will become x squared plus 2x minus 4. I can remove the half, multiply it, and it will become 0. We'll end up with x squared plus 2x minus 4. And now I go back to step 1, which is b over 2 squared. Step 2, plus minus step 1. Step 3, factorize the first 3 terms, etc. So here we're going to take b divided by 2 first. So let's take that b value divided by 2 squared. Will become 1 divided by 2 squared, which will be a quarter. And this will become 0 equals x squared plus 2x. I'm going to take that over there. Oh, I made a mistake there. This is supposed to be 2. So this is 2 over 2 squared, which is nice. Equal to 1. We take 0 equals, and we take x squared plus 2x plus 1 minus 1 minus 4. And we're now going to group these 3 terms and group those on this side as well. Right. Factorizing now, done with step 1, done with step 2. Factorizing this becomes x plus 1 squared, and minus 1 minus 4 is minus 5. Move the 5 across, and square root both sides. Don't forget to put plus minus where the x is not. The x is on the right hand side, and that's what we do. So all of these steps follow the previous pattern. Only difference is we had to remove the 2 and make it equal to 1. Right, it'll play out incorrectly if we took this plus 4 and we divided by 2 and we did all of that. You'll see it doesn't actually work out in your favor because it doesn't tie up with the other coefficients. Alright, so plus minus the square root of 5. You're going to square root both sides to cancel out the square term. And so therefore, you're going to have x equals to minus 1 plus root 5, or x equals to minus 1 minus root 5. And answer, we did not state it in the question, but we're just going to leave it in the third form like that. Alright, I'm going to place this at the bottom over here so it looks more spacious to add another question over here. So x equals to minus 1. I'm going to get the plus first and minus second. Let me do that like that. So plus 5 minus root 5 4. Alright. So with this second version, let's see if you can try this next question. Okay, so you're going to try, given the following, you're going to solve for x by completing the square. Alright, so we're completing the square. I want you to solve for x given y equals to, let's make it 3x squared plus 6x minus 9 this time. Okay, now let's see how complicated this one can get. We can end up with fractions over here, and then we'll just try to factorize it carefully as well. Right, don't forget that term goes in there, and then that factorizes over there. So solve for x, you try this. Let's see what you have. Alright, let's go through this question now. So remember, we need to get our a value, right? Our a value needs to be 1. The a value at the moment is 3. So I need to divide every single term by 3. And I can make y equals to 0 as well. So that's going to become 0 equals to, now if I divide this side by 3, I can simply remove everything. I can divide everything and I can remove that fraction immediately onto the left hand side, making it equal to 0. And that will leave me with x squared plus 2x minus, and 9 divided by 3 is 3. Now I'm going to take that b value, which is 2, and divide it by 2, then square it. So it'll become 1 squared, which is equal to 1. And I'm now going to plus and minus it over here. I'm going to plus and minus it over here. So it's going to end up with 0 equals to x squared plus 2x. Let's make some room. Don't forget to plus 1 first, then minus 1 after. Bring the negative 3 back down. That we add and subtracted. We're now going to group the first 3 terms. Factorize it. Move the minus 4 across, will become plus 4. And square root both sides, don't forget to put plus minus over here. This will leave me with x plus 1. The square root of 4 is 2. So it'll become plus minus 2. And so therefore, x will equal plus minus 2. So let's start with, let's move the negative 1 across. Plus 2. For x equals negative 1 minus 2. Now obviously there's no surd involved in this question, which means this is factorizable. I could have factorized this and got the answer. Alright, but we're doing completing the squares, so we want to focus on those steps. You can see this ends up as a nice solution. X equals to 1 and x equals to negative 3. And those are my 2 possibilities. Okay. So solve for x and solve for x over here. We've got 1 and we've got negative 3 as final answer.